when we are generating recipes, we're clearing it, we are getting our crafting recipes, and we're doing a for each loop out of that. We need to create a widget, so this is going to be WBP recipe slot. It's going to have a vertical box. Size that the side on screen, sorry. Going to have a size box inside of that vertical box. Size box is going to override off 64 by 64. You can do maybe 92 by 92 would be better, honestly. We're going to add a image inside of that. This image is going to be our recipe icon. Inside our vertical box, we're going to add a wrap box. Inside our wrap box, we're going to add a text. The text is going to be recipe name text variable. Compile and save. Over on your crafting menu, we are going to break open our element. We can't do that. Is it bugged again? Okay, let's see if the restart worked. There we go. We can break that open. Now we're going to check if the category equal enum. Keep forgetting that. The category is equal to the incoming category. So the generate recipes, if we go to our crafting category, and we haven't, yeah, there we go. On our crafting category, we need to add the category. So the category enum. Where is that? Categories enum. And expose that. Back at our menu, when we create our category widget, we need to set the category to the category of the item that we broke open here. Back in your crafting category, we're going to call our generate recipes. So crafting menu ref, generate recipes. If that is true, generate recipes. The category is the incoming category. And then we can return with a handle. So when we generate, we are checking if the category is equal to the category in our recipes that we have unlocked, right? If that is the case, we're going to create our recipe slot widget. I don't remember if we did that. WP. No, we didn't do that. That's an actor anyway, so it doesn't matter. Grid widget. Recipe slot. There we go. If it is true, we're going to create the recipe slot. The recipe slot should have a couple of we can do the test first. So get the name text, get set text from that. Text is the incoming name. We can get the icon, set brush from texture. Texture being the incoming icon. What we also could do is bring this over into our recipe slot and do everything over there. It's kind of fucking tempting, to be honest. Just pass everything through into the recipe slot and handle it in there. Then it's not going to look like a shit show. You can do that if you want. What we're going to do now is we're going to get our crafting category wrap box. We're going to set the horizontal alignment of that to the left. After we set the brush from texture. And then we're going to add child to wrap box. The content is, of course, the widget that we are creating. Let's head over to our first person character. When the first person character hits, it's going to generate that. We are going to add a one now. We're going to do a test one. It's going to be a mannequin. No, that's a campfire. It's going to be a type survival. Final item is going to be, I don't know, charcoal. It's not going to matter for us anymore right now. It's going to cost some wood. It's going to cost 2 pieces of wood. And let's do a test with a couple of stone as well. It's not going to show off the cost yet, but in the survival, now we have our item. We can add another item just so we have a double test over here. Like so, maybe. So now we have 2 items. Now we need to handle the recipe slot. We generate recipes. We go ahead and we create the slot. Once the slot is made, we need to override our mouse button down. So preview mouse button down. Move that out. Mouse event is mouse button down. Branch. If it is down, we are going to get our ref, which we do not have access to here. So we need to make that. Crafting menu ref. WBP crafting menu. I can type. Expose and edit that. And over when we create it on generate recipes, we can refresh that. Crafting menu ref is ourselves. Back into your recipe slot. Mouse button is the left mouse button. We're going to get our category wrap box. Set that visibility to be hidden. So we don't need to see the categories anymore when we're clicking our recipes. And from that, we're going to get the craft. We haven't made the craft yet. Have we made the craft? Yeah, we have made the craft. We need to generate the cost. So that's going to happen over on craft. Let's head over to craft and on the graph. Craft is going to have a variable. We're going to call it cost. Do we have the struct for it? Recipe cost, yeah. Recipe cost, array, editable and expose that. Remove all of these. We're going to do a custom event. Generate cost. It's going to have an input of the cost. I added it wrong. That's my bad. Recipe cost. That's going to be there. And this one is going to be deleted. This one is going to be cost. Now we can roll that to cost ref. Let's also get our final item. So on our input, we're also going to add the recipe, crafting recipe, singular. Or on your recipe slot, when we call craft, when we call generate cost, we can plug in the cost, and we do not have access to that on the recipe slot. The recipe has the cost, doesn't it? The recipe has the cost. So why am I adding the cost? Good fucking question, isn't it? Remove that, compile that, back into our recipe slot. Our recipe slot is created by generating the recipes, right? So it's generating recipes, is getting the wrap box, is clearing it, it's getting the crafting recipes that's incoming. And this is our recipe struct. So that's our recipe slot. Our recipe slot needs that variable. So recipe info, recipe struct, expose that. Back on our crafting, when we generate, we refresh this, this is now going to be our intel for that. Over in your recipe slot, when we generate that cost, now we have the info to pass through. What we are also going to do is we are going to set the recipe name text. So get the recipe name text. We have it in here. Let's break that open. Our name. And then we're going to finally set the visibility of our craft to be visible. Return with the handle on that. If we compile and save, I don't think anything. I'd honestly forgotten. Yeah, there we go. So now we got our test recipe showing up. Okay. Now on the generate cost, what we are going to do is we're going to promote this recipe to a local. recipe ref. Not our local, sorry, a variable. And then we are going to get our wrap boxes. So what we got and the recipe costs. We're going to clear the children of both of these. Compile that. What we want to do then is get our recipe, and we want to break that open to get the cost. And we want to do a for each loop from the cost. And for each of these, we want to create a widget. This one is going to be WVP amount widget, maybe. I'm going to add a size box to that. 64 by 64. Not variable, sorry. Decide on screen, compile. Inside of this, we're going to add a canvas panel. Inside of the canvas panel, we're going to add a image. Make that 64 by 64. This is going to be icon. I don't know. Inside of this canvas panel, we're going to add a text. Anchor that to the middle, bottom right, maybe, I don't know. Gonna do a text of X99, darkish, maybe an alpha, 0.6, maybe a little bit lower, maybe 14. Text is variable. This is our quantity text, well, amount text, since we are using amount over here. Back on our craft, we could also do what we could actually have done is we could create maybe an inventory slot, and our inventory slot is the item and the quantity. Let's do a test of this, because this might actually be a lot better than what I have previously planned. We're going to do a set text. Do we have get text? I'm going to get the quantity text. I'm going to set text from that. That is going to be the quantity. I want to get the icon separate from texture on that. Texture is the defaults, and then we break that open to get the icon. After we do that, we can add the add child to wrap box on our recipe cost. Child is the one that we just made. If I compile and save and stop fucking up with this thing, that would be great. There we go. So now we got our inventory slot. We don't have our HUD ref, so because our inventory slot needs that to be able to display things, so we need to actually be able to get that. Do we have that over on our craft? Where are you? Let's do a crafting menu. Generate recipes, over to our recipe slot. When we click our slot, what happens then? We generate cost, and then we got our craft. Okay, so let's do our HUD ref, WVP HUD, expose that, back to our recipe slot, set HUD ref, to the crafting menu, get HUD ref, like so, compile and save that. Go to C now, and we can see that we have some issues still. Or maybe this is because of our HUD ref. It might be. I'm not guaranteeing anything. As I said, I'm testing this out. Yeah, there we go. Now we got our. I still haven't fixed the item details, so this is what you get. You can change that out if you want. We can do it in a video. If you're unsure, let me know in the comments, and I'll see what we can do. Now, after this, because keep in mind, we are going through our recipe right now. We're going through our cost, and we are now checking what we can get, and we're adding it to the wrap box. What we want to do, I'm thinking, we want to get our HUD ref. We want to get inventory, maybe get our inventory slot contents, and then we want to do a for each loop out of that. Now we're looping through our contents, and we're checking if we need to break that open. And we need to check the item. If we have an item that is equal to the cost over there, you know what? I need to get better. I need to get better at using, not just dragging things around. It's bad practice. If that is true, then we are going to set a variable that we haven't made yet. How much we got. Yeah, horrible name. I don't. We're going to set that to be how much we got of item plus the quantity that we found, right? Because we might find more in different slots. And keep in mind, all of this is happening inside of one loop, right? So we're doing one loop, adding one of these, checking if we have any of them, and then we're completing out of that, and then we're doing the next loop for the next item. What we're going to do now is out from completed, we're going to add a branch. We're going to do a how much we got of item. If how much we got of item is less than, that's our condition. If it is less than the recipe cost, so the quantity recipe cost. Okay, what we need to do actually is we need to get this out a little bit. And we do need to create widget over here. We need to create another inventory slot. Move that even more out. Get icon, set brush from texture. The texture that we're setting it to is the same texture that we are using over here. Because we are checking if we are this is the cost, and now we're checking if we have it. And I think I need that wrap box. I did it in the wrong order. That's my bad. We need that wrap box back there. Now we can add our inventory slot widget like so. We need to populate the item. So the item is the recipe item. Currently we have 0. Then we're setting the brush from texture. And then we're going into the loop. If it's less than the cost, so we don't have more of it, so we need to set the color. So we need to get the quantity. Can also do a fucking promote over here and just not have wires everywhere because we haven't added it to the fucking wrap box. Out of true, we are going to get the quantity text. We're going to set the color and opacity. We're going to make slate color. We're going to have a reddish color to that. After we've set it, we're going to set CanCraft. So we need a boolean of CanCraft. We set that to false because we can't craft it, right? And then we're actually doing this after. So after we set the CanCraft, we're going into this text. And the text is the how much we got of the item. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get our what we got wrap box. We're going to add child to that wrap box. The child is the create slot up there. However, if this is false, I'm going to copy this. So we have more than we need. We're going to change it to like a green maybe. CanCraft to true. And then into our set text. We compile and save that. We have an error, and that is because this needs a target. Things up there are the one that we set up. We need a header for that. Otherwise, this our tooltips ain't working. There we go. So now we got 0. If we actually, okay, so if I go and I have 3 wood, and it's not actually showing up. And that might be because I have the final item over here, honestly. We're not supposed to have the final item over here. We're supposed to have the item that, see, this is why I don't do this stuff. Item needs to be equal to the item cost. There we go. Now I have 0. It's stuck on green though. So something is definitely wrong. Is it because our quantity is being set over here? That might actually be the case. So what we are going to do is we're going to set the quantity. Oh shit. Let's do a set quantity up here instead. Set the quantity to maybe something like that. Let's just Let's see if that works. There we go. Now we have 3. This is actually a bit redundant because we're not using that how much we got. So what we need to do now is we need to actually plug in the return value of that over there, and then the return value of that over there. Now we're using the quantity that we can actually delete that as well. There we go. Now we got 3, and if I throw out our 3, now we got 0. Pick it up to 3 again. Okay, that's it for that. Now we actually need to implement the craft button.